Before Joan of Arc picked up a sword or Hildegard started singing visions, there was Catherine of Siena, the 14th century mystic, a nun of divine opinion who didn't need armor or choir robes to bring kings and popes to their knees. Born to a humble dyer's family in Siena, Italy, this woman went from teenage recluse to divine power broker. No title, no army, just pure holy nerve and a pin sharp enough to make popes flinch. She saw visions. She claimed to have a mystical marriage with Jesus Christ, even sporting an invisible wedding ring that, she said, Jesus himself provided. She lived on communion bread and Sass. And most importantly, she wasn't just praying in the corner and baking holy bread. No. When she saw the Catholic Church spiraling into corruption and chaos, she didn't light a candle. She wrote some of the fiercest, "You up?" letters in religious history to the Pope, and in the process, she became the spiritual firestarter behind one of the sassiest wars in church history. The woman had no chill, and thank goodness for it. Now enter stage left, the Avignon papacy. Yep, for almost 70 years, the popes had ditched Rome for southern France. Avignon, to be exact, living in French luxury while Rome fell into religious and political chaos. Italian pride? Bruised. Papal credibility? Tanking. The Romans wanted their pope back. And Catherine? Oh, she was ready to drag a bishop across the Alps herself if she had to. Pope Gregory XI was the Avignon pope in power, and Catherine wrote to him like a boss. Her letters weren't soft prayers, they were straight-up divine sass. She told him, and I quote, in translation, obviously, be a man. Return to Rome. Stop acting like a coward. She was ready to drag the pope back home by his robe if necessary. Imagine being the pope and getting spiritual therapy from a 30-year-old woman who signs off as your unworthy daughter. Now here's where it gets juicy. In 1375, while Catherine was busy giving the Pope spiritual marching orders, Florence and a bunch of other Italian city-states decided they'd had enough of papal overreach, French meddling, and sky-high taxes. So they started a rebellion, the so-called War of the Eight Saints. Spoiler alert, not a single one of them was actually a saint. They were politicians, rebels, and some high-ranking Florentine tea-spillers who thought the church needed a good smacking. They weren't fighting for holiness. They were fighting for autonomy and pride. And Catherine? She was smack in the middle, spiritually advising Florence while also trying to make Gregory XI act right. She wanted church reform, peace, and the Pope out of his Avignon Airbnb. But when Florence escalated the beef and Gregory XI literally excommunicated the entire city, things went full Real Housewives of the Papal States. So who did they send to clean up the divine drama? Catherine. Not just because she had the Pope's ear, but because she wasn't afraid of anyone. She didn't go to Avignon to curtsy. She went to flip the papal table, with love, holy conviction, and zero chill. Did she fix it? Not exactly, but she sure made noise. In 1377, under her pressure and a whole lot of chaos, Gregory XI finally moved the papacy back to Rome. Catherine, triumphant, sort of, because not long after, Gregory died, and the church immediately split again, with two popes, one in Rome and one in Avignon. And later, three popes, three-way spiritual custody battle. But here's the gag. Catherine didn't just influence a war, she influenced history. She had no formal education, no official position, and no fear. Yet she stood toe-to-toe with popes, kings, and armies. She was canonized later, of course, but let's be real, she was already Saint Sass while she was alive. So, the War of the Eight Saints wasn't holy. The popes weren't united. But Catherine of Siena? She was the spiritual mic drop in a world of mumbling clerics. A mystic with bite, a saint with a spine, and the sass behind the war that made popes pack their bags.